So now we're on to word problems and the slope-intercept form. Okay, so for this, we need to know how to do some word problems and apply our slope-intercept form. So parents of members of the cheerleading squad rent a hall. They arrange a talent show as a fundraiser. The relationship between the number of tickets sold, X, and the profit, Y, in dollars may be represented by the equation 12x minus y minus 840 equals 0. What is the slope of the line? What does the slope represent? So here, remember that y equals mx plus b, where m is your slope and y is your y-intercept. So what I suggest doing with word problems is, first of all, list off what you know. So what do I know here? Well, I know that X is the number of tickets sold. And then Y, I know, is in dollars. Okay. And then from here, we're given this equation. So recognize this equation is not in y-intercept form. So somebody might do is they might see 12 beside x and automatically go, oh, well, slope is 12. This is not in y-intercept form. Y-intercept form has to be in this form, mx plus b. So for A, in order to figure out the slope, I'm going to put it into y equals mx plus b. So 12x minus y minus 840 equals 0. Recognize 12 is not slope. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to solve for y. And that's actually not too bad because I'm just going to add y to both sides. So, that doesn't cancel out. So here I get 12x minus 840 equals y. And now I'm in the y-intercept form. Recognize it can be backwards, like this is the same thing as this. It's just now your y value is on the right side of your equation symbol, which is totally fine. So 12 is my m value. Okay, so for A, what is the slope of the line? Slope equals 12. Now, recognize it asks us, what does that represent? Well, here, slope, remember, it is the change in y over the change in x. Okay, we can imagine a 1 on the bottom here. Okay, now remember, what does our y values represent? Well, our y values was dollars. So this is the change in money over, and what was our x values? Our x values was the tickets sold. So here our slope has a meaning. This is $12 for one ticket. So slope represents the cost of one ticket, which is 12 bucks. Okay, so there is now slope being given some context here. For B, identify the y-intercept. What does it represent? Well, here, our y-intercept is negative 840. Now, negative 840, what the heck does that represent? Well, recognize that they have to pay to use this banquet hall. So this is a minus symbol, and this is the initial cost of banquet hall. Okay. So for C, how many tickets must the parent sell to break even? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a really rough graph of this thing. Okay. And here we're at negative 840. So that's our y-intercept. And remember, our y values is representing the amount of money we made. Our x values is tickets sold. Now, if you think about it, in order to break even, we need to have our y be 0, because anything above 0 is what we're making. If we're below 0, we're actually losing money. So far we've lost money if we sold no tickets. On our x-intercept here, this graph will look something like this. As we sell more tickets, we increase in money. Okay, as we sell more tickets, we're increasing in money. This point here is where we break even. And what is that point? That's your x-intercept. And what's an x-intercept? Well, that's when y equals 0. So now we have this nifty equation here, and we want to know what x is when y is 0. So we're going to take 12x minus 108 or 840, and we're going to make that thing equal 0 because we've replaced y now is 0, and we're going to solve for x. So what number of tickets makes y 0? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 840 to both sides. So I get 12x equals 840, and then I'm going to divide 12. So x equals 840 dividing 12. So that gives me 70. Okay, so it looks like we need to sell 70 tickets. So here is our break-even point. So we must sell 70 tickets to break even. Okay, so there was a contextual question using the slope-intercept form. Okay, so let's maybe move on and look at a new equation, or a new question, sorry. So Asha has selected a hotel for her wedding reception. The cost involves a fee for the deluxe ballroom and a buffet charge that depends on the number of guests. This is shown in the table. Okay, so again, let's first analyze everything going on here. So we have number of guests and we're having a wedding. So this is for a wedding, for Asha's wedding. And it looks like every guest we bring, it adds the cost up, okay? Because of course you got to pay for these people and the buffet, okay? Recognize when you're not bringing any guests, it's still costing you $425. So what the heck does that mean? Well, this is a flat rate fee. Flat rate just to use banquet. So it's already costing you money before you even invite anyone. Every additional person is going to cost a little bit more money because you're bringing more people, you got to pay for more food. So let's sketch a graph of the data in the table, okay? So here's where things get important. We want to make sure that we're going up by the proper increments. Here, we're just going up. Remember, this is your domain. So this is a little bit of a review. This is your domain. So this will be on your horizontal line. Okay. So what we want to do is we're going to draw a line here, as straight as you can, and then draw a line here, as straight as you can. Okay. This is going to be number of guests. And this is going to be cost in dollars. Okay. Now, recognize, maybe you usually want to bring your title down. Okay, so this will be our guests here. Now, we're going up by 25, so that's pretty simple. I'm not going to put 25, 50, 75, 100, because that's way too close. I'm going to space these out pretty nicely, and I'm going to make every 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to make every 3 25. So 25, 50, 75, 100. Okay, so that worked out pretty good. And then now this is kind of the challenge. How do I separate this? Because we're going up fairly quickly by quite a bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to recognize that I need this probably to be 6,000. And we've kind of already learned this tool in one of our other videos, but we want to know how much each individual tick is worth. So what you're going to do is you're going to count from 0 how many ticks are in between 6,000. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So again, count it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So I'm going to divide 6,000 into 15 equal parts, and that will be each tick. So that's 400. So each tick is going to be 400, and that's going to work really nicely. So this will be 400, 800, 1,200, 1,600, 2,200. Oh, nope. 2,000, 2,400, 2,800, 3,200, 3,600, 4,000, 4,200, 4,400, 4,800, 5,200, 5,600, and 1,000. So it looks like it worked out perfectly, which is great. I want to put a title on this graph, so I'm going to move this. Hopefully, sorry, you might have put that there. Okay. So my title here is going to be Cost of Asha's Wedding. Okay, and now we can start plotting. So number of guests, so when we have 0, we're costing it 425. So that is roughly right here. So that's your y-intercept. When you have 25 guests, it's costing you $1,800. So that will be right in between 1,600 and 2,000. So that's going to be right there. $50 guests cost $3,175, so 50 guests, and then you're going to have to roughly estimate, so 3,105, so that's going to be very close to 3,200. So 50 and 3,000, so something like this. And then 100 guests costs you roughly $600. So it looks like we skipped 75 and now we're going to 100. So it's roughly $6,000. So roughly right here. And recognize this is a linear relation. You can see that you can connect all these points and it's going to create a perfectly straight line. And again, a bit of it is off, mainly due to the fact that we had to estimate a few of those points. So we can 100% move a few of these points a little bit more accurately. Oop. There we go. So we could move this guy a little bit up and it won't hurt nobody. There we go. So sketch the graph of this table. So we're already done A. We've sketched it. What are the slope and the y-intercept of the line? Okay. What does each parameter represent? So for B, what is our slope? Well, slope equals rise over run. And we can actually determine slope using this, right? So our y values, or our rise, look at how much we're going up by here. So 425 to get to 1800. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 1800 minus 425, and that gives me plus 1,375. And I'm going to make sure that I can add 1,375 to get to the next number. So 1,800 plus 1,375, and that does give me this next number. Now recognize, if I add 1,375, it's going to give me 4,500. It's not going to be this, because recognize we skipped over an increment. We need 75. So this is relating to 75 guests, okay? And you can easily see that our range, or sorry, our domain is going up by plus 25. So our rise, remember this is our y coordinates, are going up by 1,375. Our run is going up by 25. So now we can take out our calculator and see if both these numbers are divisible by 25, and I believe they are. So 1,375 dividing by 25, well, that gives me 55. So 55 over 1. Now remember, what does our rise, what's it measured in? It's measured in dollars, so this will be dollars here. What's our run measured in? Well, our run is the number of guests, so this is guest. So now we can see that one guest costs an additional $55. So just to bring a guest to your wedding, it's going to cost an additional $55, and that is what your slope represents. Okay. It asks you, what does each parameter, or what's your y-intercept? Well, we already talked about that. Our y-intercept is found right here, and it's when x is 0, so 425. And recognize this is for your y-intercept, and this represents the fact that Asha has to pay $425 just to get access to Hall. So without even inviting anybody, it's going to cost you $425. Okay, let's look at C here. Write an equation that describes the relationship between the cost and the number of guests. Well, here we have y equals mx plus b. And luckily, we already have m. Its slope. It's 55. So this will be y equals 55x. And then b is our y-intercept, so 425. And there is our equation. Now for D, what is the cost for 140 guests? So in this case, your x value is going to be your guest. Okay, and it wants to know the y value. So in this case, what is y when x equals 140 guests? So now we're going to plug that in. So y equals 55 times 140. So all I'm doing is replacing 140 in for x. Plus 425. And I will get 55 times 140 plus 425. So that will give me a pretty expensive wedding, $8,125. So it's going to cost that much to just invite 140 people, which is actually really good. Never mind. Once you get older, you'll learn how expensive weddings really are. And then for E, Asha would like a total cost to be no more than $15,000. What is the maximum number of guests to attend? So here, she's saying, okay, I will allow my Y value, which is my cost, to be $1,500. How many guests can I bring? So X. So in this case, I'm replacing my Y with 1,500, and I'm going to solve for my X. So this will be 1,500, or wait, did she say 15,000? 15,000, never mind, $15,000 equals 55x plus 425. And now you're solving. So subtract 425, bring out your calculator. So 1,500 minus 425. So that gives me 1,075. That equals 55x. And then divide 55. So take 1,075 and divide it by 55. Oh, I missed a 0 when I did this. That's the wrong number. So 15,000 minus 425. So that's a bit of a different number, very different. Okay, so this will be 14,575. And then we divide that by 55. So 14,575 divided by 55. So it looks like she's going to have a massive wedding of 265 people at her wedding. Okay, so she can invite at most 265 people. Okay, so the word problems are usually the most difficult part of this. It's not a huge portion, but you definitely want to understand how to do these. So please go try a few questions out on your own. And if you have any questions, please come in and ask. Thanks.